Good afternoon and welcome to the Eide webinar on quality management in NetSuite. My name is Dino Forfante and I'm Director of Business Development at Eide. Today we're going to talk about how the quality management module can elevate your business. In today's webinar, our agenda today, first we're going to introduce our team on the phone and give you an introduction to the Eide and who we are. Then we'll introduce you to NetSuite Quality Management Module and its application and features. Along the way, you'll get to see a brief demonstration of quality management in action. Finally, we'll wrap up, take questions, and talk about next steps. During the webinar, please enter any questions in the online chat that may arise, and we'll address them at the end. Let's get started. Again, I'm Dino Forfante, the Director of Business Development at Eide Technology. I have been working with NetSuite for over 12 years as both a business owner and as an implementer in the NetSuite consulting practice. I have industry experience in Fortune 500 and mid-market companies, including multiple ERP systems. Joining me today on the phone will be Amy Knust, who will be walking us through the quality management. Amy is an experienced NetSuite implementer and solution engineer. She's a CPA and is certified in multiple ERP applications. Amy has over 25 years of consulting and manufacturing experience and currently manages our solution engineering team. At Eide, we like to think of ourselves as advisors first and technology providers second. We only succeed when our clients succeed, and that's why our driving force every day is to help you find the best way forward. We bring our knowledge, passion, and experience to transform the way you do business and deliver lasting results. Eide has been around for over 100 years and is a top 20 CPA firm. But Eide is more than just an accounting firm. We're an award-winning consulting, business advisory, and professional services firm. We're driven to help our clients on the now and next with inspired ideas, solutions, and results. Our teams have experience that span multiple industries using a proven services approach that focuses on business process and user adoption. Our practice also specializes in complementary technologies like Salesforce CRM, data analytics, integrations, and advisory services. Our service offerings are always focused on helping with today's unique challenges. Our NetSuite team provides our clients across the United States. We have successfully implemented over 500 companies and boosted an award-winning team with over 55 consultants holding over 100 certifications with an average of 10 years experience. Our team has earned the America's Solution Provider Award 4 out of the last 5 years. This is an award based as much on customer experience and success as it is a strong and growing NetSuite practice. If you have any questions on who Eide is, or if you're interested in other service offerings, contact your client success manager. NetSuite Quality Management Solution has been designed to help you deliver the highest quality in the products with minimal overhead. Quickly and easily define the tests you want to perform, set parameters to evaluate the results, apply those to the relevant items and operations for receiving and in-process testing. Typically, quality systems are disparate one-off solutions and rarely integrated with customer ERP. The power of the NetSuite QMS starts with the module being an integrated part of the platform, so its functionality interacts with other business processes where needed. In some cases, transactions trigger quality activity. In other cases, they capture quality data and subsequent reporting analysis fuels execution of other tasks. NetSuite QMS enables collaboration, not additional integration, effort, and cost. Here are some of the important features of the Quality Management module. The solution allows users to perform the following actions: define quality tests that can be either qualitative or quantitative, group quality tests into specifications, allowing an item to be subject to multiple tests, define the conformance rules that determine the necessary actions to be taken upon non-conformance, assign tests to items and define action unique to the item in quality context, automatically or manually dispatch inspections to quality managers, and record and report on results. Several of these features will be shown in a demonstration coming up. Here's the demonstration topics Amy will be presenting today. If you have any questions on another feature not in the presentation, the client success managers will be able to schedule a personalized follow-up with your team. The contact information will be provided at the end of the discussion. Amy, let me turn it over to you.
Thank you, Dino. This diagram illustrates the overall process of assigning quality inspections, capturing results, and triggering additional actions. Essentially, quality processes can be triggered from multiple transaction types. They would include item receipts, completion of work order routing steps, and completion of finished goods. To perform a quality test after one of these triggering events, a test can either be manually or automatically assigned to a quality engineer, who can then open the tablet-based inspection queue and select the appropriate test. If the item passes inspection, it can proceed through the standard order to cash or manufacturing execution process. However, if there's a failure, the conformance rules built into the test can drive alternative actions, including rework, return to vendor, or even a corrective action plan. Now let's dive into NetSuite and begin the demonstration. The first thing I'd like to do is take a brief look at the setup of a quality test, a quality specification, and a quality context, so you understand the overall functionality of the application and how these tests can be defined and then executed based on a specific transaction. Quality inspections define the data fields and the associated standards that are used to examine, measure, compare, or test product material or characteristics. When I list inspections, you'll see that we have several different inspections in this sample data set, one of which is called the electrical test. Opening that specific inspection, you'll note that this inspection is quantitative. They can also be qualitative in nature. In this case, for this particular test, we are actually capturing a voltage and visually validating the ground wire connection. So the first step in defining an inspection is to actually create the fields that will collect the data associated with the test. Next, you would define the parameters that define how those values are evaluated. These are essentially data fields that contain the standards or rules by which the test was measured. For this test, we are comparing voltage to an upper and lower control limit, and we are visually identifying the ground wire connection to determine if it has passed inspection. Finally, you need to define the comparison attributes. In this case, the voltage comparisons are defined as less than or equal to or greater than or equal to the control limits. Once the test parameters are defined, you can combine tests into specifications, which are essentially groups of tests that need to be performed together for a specific item when a triggering event occurs. In addition to applying tests to items, specifications define the actions that need to be taken for a specific test when an inspection has failed. So let's take a look at a specification. I'm going to look at the receiving specification for an item called FSP 200. In this example, this particular specification is item specific. But in reality, a specification can be associated with multiple items. So the same group of tests could be applied to multiple items in your environment. In this case, there are actually 3 different inspections that are being performed. And the context or trigger of this test is an item receipt. You can see that within the context that is associated specifically to this item. Other possible contexts could include work order completions or in-process testing, or even the generation of a test from an application program interface or external trigger. Finally, within the specification, conformance rules define the actions that should be taken when a test has failed. Looking at the electrical check, illustrates this feature and ensures that the item will be returned to the vendor and all future processing will halt upon the failure of the electrical test. I'm just going to open that test for a moment. And you can see the action that's defined is return to vendor. However, other actions are available, including potentially quarantining the item or notifying a supervisor. In addition, you can create your own actions that might be specific to your CAPA plan that need to be executed upon failure. In addition, I'm going to halt all future activity against this particular item when this test fails. Now let's take a look at the item record to understand some additional functionality that might exist at the item level. So I'm going to use my global search and I'm going to look up my inventory item, which happens to be a solar panel. And we're going to look at the quality context information that's associated specifically with that item. Scrolling down on the purchasing inventory tab, you'll see we actually have a quality specification context subtab on which we can define some more information specific to this item and the actions that need to be taken, as well as the specific requirements of when this test needs to be executed. The first thing you'll note is that a context can be specific to a location. So in this case, I'm restricting this test to my San Francisco location, as well as being limited to specific customers or vendors. So if you're perhaps onboarding a new vendor and you want to initiate more frequent quality testing while you validate the quality of that vendor's product, you can associate a specific test just with a specific vendor. In this case, I have applied this to default, which means all vendors are subject to this quality specification. Finally, the specification transaction type or trigger for the test is identified on the item record and displayed in the quality context tab. We can even define our own pre-inspection actions. In this case, I'm defining that once this item is received and prior to being successfully tested, I want to quarantine this item and not make it available for any other inventory related process. In many cases, these additional actions can be manually defined by your organization, and in some cases might require scripts or workflows to be written to drive those pre-inspection and post-inspection actions. Now I'd like to view this feature in action. And to do that, I'm going to execute a receiving quality test on this FSP 200 item. I have created a purchase order that I'm going to look up in my global search. And we're going to go ahead and perform a receipt against that purchase order, which should automatically trigger the quality inspection. So I'm going to hit the receive button on my purchase order, and that's all I need to do to trigger this quality test. In the receipt, I'm going to select the item. I'm going to view the inventory detail and make sure that I've assigned all the necessary statuses, bins, and lots and serial numbers so that I can successfully save that receipt. Upon saving, it is executing a workflow that essentially notifies my quality manager that a test needs to be performed. It also places that test in the inspection queue and allows my quality manager to automatically or to manually assign that to a specific quality engineer. To execute that assignment, I simply move over to my quality module and I select data collection, assign inspections. I'm going to filter this for just a specific location, San Francisco, and just a specific trigger, which is the receipt from purchase order. And then I'm going to list my inspections. My most recent inspection here is inventory receipt 2746. It is currently not assigned, is pending status, and is related to the receiving of my FSP 200 item. If I want to assign these in bulk, I can, but to assign individually, I simply select the assignment button and I set my assignment to the appropriate quality engineer. I'm going to select Kathy Cardigan. I can define a priority. Maybe this is an urgent quality matter because I know that I need to utilize this in a manufacturing process today. And I can set my status and simply say assign. And then that's going to notify my quality engineer that they have an urgent quality test to perform, and that quality engineer can simply go to data collection and launch the tablet interface. All right, and the first thing you'll notice is we have a new quality test that needs to be performed. And that is on my solar panel fan, which was just received. And the nice thing about this tablet interface, it's fully touchscreen. So I'm just going to go ahead and select that test, and it brings me up into the results screen where I can enter my results. And all 3 tests you can see that were part of the specification are listed here. In this case, I'm doing a receiving visual to make sure that we properly received the product. I'm going to go ahead and say that passed, and I'm going to capture a photo of my item. So let's go out to my pictures, grab my solar panel, and insert that automatically into the quality result. By saying record, the system's going to determine if it meets those conformance rules, and it's going to tell me immediately with a green bar that we've passed that test. Now I'm on my dimensional test, so I'm going to get out my tape measure, and I'm going to go ahead and record the length and width of this item. Better type it in correctly. And I'll record those results as well. And it's going to go through the same process and validate the results of my dimensional test. And then finally, the electrical check that we've been looking at throughout this process, I'm going to say, yep, I have a proper ground wire connection, and I've done my voltage check, and I'm going to put my numeric results in there. And essentially, I've now completed all 3 of my tests, and I can finish my inspection and record my results. What happens then is it immediately drops off of my queue. This concludes our demonstration of quality management. The solution extends the functionality of NetSuite to support the definition of quality standards, the automation of the quality process, and the capture and reporting of quality results. I'd like to turn it back to you, Dino, to determine if there are any questions from the participants.
Thank you, Amy. I'm going to ask now Ethan Haberman from our solution engineering team to take questions from our participants. Ethan?
Thanks, Dino. There are not currently any questions in the Q&A section.
Thank you, Ethan. Moving on to next steps. At iBailey, we believe your ERP journey doesn't end at Go Live. We want to make sure that you have a full spectrum of support options that can help you through the lifetime of your NetSuite implementation. iBailey offers a full spectrum of support services from on-demand to managed services designed really to automate and administrate your systems. Please contact us and your client's test manager for any questions on any of the support programs that iBailey offers. Thank you again. We appreciate your attendance, and this concludes our webinar. Thank you.